Now that we've seen the theory on how Pyrota utilizes rosters and generates rosters, let's have a look how that translates to the practical application of Pyrota. So here we are at the main screen for Pyrotas. For purposes of a demonstration, I have two demonstration logins here, one that logs in as a random staff member and one that logs in as a random administrator. So we'll log in as a random administrator so we can actually view all the rostering information. So here are all the shift definitions. So it's basically a template to describe a shift. So it has a start and end time. It has a number of staff categories assigned to it. And then it has a list of staff requirements that this shift needs to fulfill. So in this case here, it's basically saying that this shift needs to have one team leader, 2 customer support people, 2 IT level 1, 2 IT level 2, and 2 accounts people. So if we go in and add a new shift definition, you can give it a name, a description. In this case, you can pick what staff categories are entitled to work on this shift, the required staff numbers and what skills they have, what days of the week that this shift will actually appear as, the start and end time, and the break. So here it is populated. So as you can see here, there's a morning, afternoon and night shift for weekdays and a morning and afternoon shift for the weekend. You can see here it's also been set up that a coach may be present during the weekdays in the morning. Full-time and admin people are required, and as is the afternoon shift. But for the night shift, it's generally part-time casual people. So for the staff requirements, that's derived from this list here. So staff skill requirements is it's a label applied to a skill which you give a priority in a number of people. So I can go more detail into this later, but basically all you need to do is create a skill and create how many people you want in that shift to have that skill. So once you have those shift definitions, you can now populate the roster definition. So here's an example of some already set up. So basically this is just showing that this roster has shifts for every day of the week. It's for this location, at this section, and these are the skills that are required for that roster. So this is saying that for team leaders, there are 19 slots to be filled for the entire week and 29 customer support roles. So if we go in and have a look, this is listing the individual requirements for the shifts. So as you saw in the shift definition screens from before, here is where you actually select one or many or all or none of the shift that you want to appear in this roster. You choose the location, the section, and that's pretty much it. So now we have a bunch of roster definitions containing a collection of shift definitions. So now we can go create a roster. So the start of week is Monday. We'll use the default allocation set. Okay, so a roster has been created now within the database, but it actually hasn't done anything yet. It's not until you click this allocate staff button that nothing will be allocated. So we'll do that now. So once I do that, that starts off a background task that will take a few minutes, and then it will come back and fill out the tabs for us. So as you can see here, this is the roster, just giving a bit of information. Okay, that task is finished and the roster has been generated. So if we go in and have a look, your job has been fully allocated. These are all the skill requirements for this roster and they've all been met. So the totals match. This is a list of who's been given what shifts on what date and time. So you can click into each of these and edit the times if a person wants to come in early or work later. Or you can manually assign this person doesn't want to work this day and you know about it, you can actually manually change this shift to somebody else. The allocation report shows the allocation rules that were that negated the allocation of a shift to a person. So if you need to historically look at why a person wasn't given a shift for a day, then you can look here. So as you can see, for the first few days, there was no real issue. And then some of the rules started getting triggered. So a number of people started reaching their maximum hours for the week. So that was noted here and they were not given shifts. Some people later on in the week, some people started reaching their maximum shifts allowed for the week. So they were also denied being given any more shifts. So it goes on like that. So you have a permanent record of this information. You can click on the roster and look at it anytime. Okay, so let's go generate another roster now. This time we'll do Melbourne. Start of week Monday, default allocation set. Okay, we'll allocate the staff. We'll just wait a few moments here. Okay, that's completed. And it looks like that this roster hasn't worked, or there's a little issue with it. So let's click in and have a look. Okay, not enough staff available to fully allocate this roster. So it looks like we're short of one IT level 2 support person. So as you can see, it's generated all the shift assignments like before. We have a report like before. And there's a shift summary. Okay, so let's publish this roster so other people can see it. So this, let's go to the home screen here. So that one shift that hasn't been allocated to anybody yet has now shown up as an unassigned shift. And there's no giveaways. So let's log off. We'll log on as a general staff user. And we can see here there's one unassigned shift. So this person hasn't got a shift on this day and they want to work on this day, so they can simply just claim the shift. And the shift will now appear in their shifts for this week. It also shows up here in the calendar. So we can log back out, log back in as an admin person. Log back in as an admin person. Okay, we can see that this person has 4 shifts this week. They don't want to work on Thursday, so they decided they want to give a shift away. So they click giveaway, and the shift now appears up in the giveaway shifts list. So we'll log back in as a random person. Okay, this person has no shifts for this week, for that day, and they decide they want to take this shift, and just click claim. And now the shift has been allocated to them. So if we log out, log in as an administrator again. If we go to the roster, we'll see now here that error has gone away. Apart from staff being able to pick up shifts via a coordinated shift swap or giveaways, or picking up unassigned shifts, as an administrator you can also manually change shift assignments if you desire. So say this person doesn't want to work on Monday, you can just simply click on that link and pick the new staff person you wish to actually work on that shift. Or if that person is coming in late or wants to start early for that shift, you can edit the start times or the finish times, which only affects this roster and only that shifts for that particular person. So it's quite an isolated thing. So we'll go delete this shift now, artist roster, and we'll recreate it as another means of avoiding these allocation errors. So let's add a roster for Sydney. Default allocation rules. We'll allocate staff. Just waiting a few moments here. Okay, that should be done. Yep, so this one's failed. So it looks like it's actually 10 short on IT support level 2 and 2 short on account staff and 2 short on team leaders. So instead of relying on people picking up unassigned shifts and doing shift giveaways, etc., we'll just delete this roster. We'll create it again, all the same information, but this time we'll pick allow remote. So if you have a company that actually allows work from home, this might be a good option because then it allows people from other locations to actually be part of grabbing shifts for that roster, even if they're not in that immediate location or their normal place of work. Okay, we'll allocate the staff again. So now that there's a bigger pool of staff to go around, it should be able to fill all those spots up. Okay, that's completed. Looks like there's no errors this time. Yep, it's all good. It's actually found spots for everybody, and the shift assignments look good. So when you generate a roster, you have to pick an allocation set. So an allocation set is a set of rules, equity rules that you want to apply to that roster. So these rules can be created and edited as a bunch of individual rules, and then the set actually, you pick a set of rules which you want to apply to that roster. Okay, so here's the existing allocation sets. I've got a default one, which is enabled for all locations, and it just does some basic things like set the maximum hours a person can work per week, the maximum hours per shift they can work, the maximum shifts per week, and also the minimum % weekend work. So that ensures that people get to work an equal amount of weekend hours as compared to everyone else. So here are the rules themselves. So these are pretty much customizable. You can, if you have a developer, you can actually add your own rules and hook them into the system. Or you can just use the, I will be adding more rules, so you can just pick a set of whatever rules suit you, or you can edit them however you like. Well, I hope all that makes sense and you found that useful, and I hope to hear from you soon.